What if you took a completely normal photo in the middle of the woods and later discovered that someone was standing there with you, even though you were completely alone? No footsteps, no sound, no warning, just one photo and one question. Who was that? This happened to a friend of mine not too long ago. He went hiking in the woods of northern Minnesota, near a small town called Finland. If you know that area, you'd understand how quiet and empty it can be. You can walk for hours and not see a single person. And that's exactly what happened to him. He told me that during the entire hike, he didn't come across anyone at all. No hikers, no campers, no movement, just trees and silence. At one point, he stopped and took a photo. Nothing special, just a random picture of the forest. There was no one in front of him, no one around him. He clearly remembers that. And then he continued his hike like nothing happened. Later that day, when he got home, he started going through the photos he had taken. At first, everything looked completely normal. Just trees, shadows, empty trails. But then, he opened that one photo, and that's when things got strange. On the right side of the image, there was a man. At first, it wasn't obvious. You had to actually look closely to notice him. But once you saw it, you couldn't unsee it. The man was standing partially behind a tree, still, silent, almost like he was trying to stay hidden, but not completely. My friend froze when he saw it, because he is absolutely sure there was no one there when he took that photo. The figure looked like an adult male. From what we could tell, he seemed to be wearing something like an Adidas tracksuit. Normal clothing, nothing too unusual. But that's exactly what made it more unsettling. Because if it was just a normal person, how did he not notice him? There were no sounds, no movement, no indication that someone else was nearby. And yet, there he was, captured in a single frame. We tried to think of logical explanations. Maybe it was another hiker. Maybe he just didn't notice him at the time. But that didn't feel right. So I started researching. I looked into missing person cases in that area, thinking maybe the photo captured someone connected to that. But there was only one case that came up, an elderly man who went missing years ago. And the figure in the photo didn't match at all. Different age, different appearance. Then I thought about urban legends. Things like black-eyed children, but those are usually described as kids. And this figure was clearly an adult. So that didn't explain anything either. At that point, we were left with something we couldn't explain. The photo wasn't edited. There was no sign of manipulation. And yet, there was someone in it. And honestly, if stories like this make you think, if you enjoy real incidents that don't have clear answer, a random photo, nothing strange, until you look closer. Because sometimes, the scariest things aren't the ones you see in the moment. They're the ones you discover later. So let me ask you, if you took a photo and later found someone in it, someone you never saw in real life, what would you believe? Was it just a person he somehow missed? Or something else that only appears when you're not looking? Tell me, what do you think was standing behind that tree? Turn off the lights. Put on your headphones. Because the next story is even more disturbing than this one, and you probably shouldn't experience it alone. Invite a friend right now. Let's see who's actually brave enough to stay till the very end without leaving, and share this stream with your best friend. You know that feeling when you step into a place and suddenly Everything feels off, not dangerous, not yet, but like something is watching you, waiting, because what I'm about to tell you didn't feel like an accident. It felt like something chose me. This happened in the lower mainland of British Columbia, deep inside a forest where the trails are quiet. Too quiet. No cell phone service, no crowds, just endless trees, and silence that feels heavier than it should. That day, it was just me and my boyfriend. We had barely walked 5 minutes into the trail when we heard it. A sound. At first, it was faint, distant, like something echoing through the forest. But within seconds, it started getting louder and closer, fast. We both stopped, because forests don't sound like that. This wasn't wind, this wasn't an animal. It sounded mechanical, like a broken speaker blasting something unnatural into the woods. But the weirdest part? It almost sounded like it was trying to mimic a bird, except it was completely wrong, distorted, metallic, like something pretending to be alive, but failing. And then something shot out from the trees. I froze. A glowing red object burst out from above the treetops, moving so fast my brain couldn't process it at first. It was small, about the size of my hand, triangular, glowing like a red traffic light in the dark. No wings, no shape I could understand. And yet, it moved like it was alive. It darted from tree to tree with impossible precision, landing on the very tips of branches before launching again like gravity didn't exist. I tried to follow it with my eyes, but I couldn't. And then, it came straight at me. Before I could react, it was already in front of my face, inches away, then gone again, then back, faster, closer, again and again. It started dive bombing me. Every time it came down, it got closer. So close that I could feel the air slicing past my skin. My hair started whipping around my face from the speed of it. I couldn't even move. I couldn't think. The sound was deafening now, echoing from every direction, surrounding me completely. And then, there wasn't just one anymore. Another one came out of the trees, then another. Or maybe it was the same one, moving so fast it looked like multiple. I couldn't tell. The noise grew louder, sharper, more aggressive. And that's when I realized something that made my stomach drop. This didn't feel random. This felt intentional, like they were targeting me, like they were testing how close they could get before actually hitting me. I tried to step back, but my body wouldn't respond. It was like I was locked in place. Later, my boyfriend told me he had been screaming at me the entire time, telling me to run. But I didn't hear him, not once. It was like the sound of those things had completely blocked out reality, like I was trapped inside their world. Seconds felt like minutes. Every dive came closer, more aggressive, more precise. I swear, one of them almost touched my face, and just when I thought, this is it, something is about to happen, everything stopped, instantly. No warning, no slow fade, just silence. All of them shot straight up into the sky, disappearing into the trees. Gone. The sound faded into the distance until there was nothing left. Just the forest again. Quiet. Too quiet. It all lasted maybe 30 seconds. But it didn't feel like 30 seconds. It felt like something much longer. Something that shouldn't have been possible. My boyfriend was already far down the trail when I finally snapped out of it. We ran. Neither of us said anything for a while. Because what do you even say after something like that? But here's where it gets even stranger. We didn't leave immediately. We stayed there for hours, phones ready, waiting for those things to come back, because a part of me needed proof, needed to know I wasn't losing my mind. But they never came back. Not that day, not ever again. And trust me, I've tried. I've gone back to that exact same spot multiple times. Same trail, same conditions, waiting, watching, listening. But nothing ever happens. No sound, no lights, no movement. Like it never existed. And yet, I can still feel it. That moment, when something unknown, something unnatural, got that close to me, close enough to touch. Now here's the thing. If you made it this far, you're already part of this experience. You didn't skip. You didn't leave. Because deep down, you felt it too. That curiosity, that fear, that question in your mind. So if you want more stories like this, real encounters that don't have clear answers, make sure you stay connected. Because next time, it might not just be a story. And if this moment actually gave you chills, drop a like, not for me. But so I know, you felt it too. Because I still can't stop thinking about one thing. Out of all the empty forest, why did they focus on me? And if they were able to find me once, what's stopping them from finding me again? Or worse, what if next time they don't stop? There are some things you see once in your life, and you spend the rest of your life wishing you hadn't. Because sometimes what you see sees you back. Every summer, my family had this tradition. We would pack our bags, leave the noise of the city behind, and rent a small cabin somewhere deep in the forests of Sweden. No neighbors, no traffic, just endless trees, silence, and the kind of peace you can only find far away from everything. And honestly, those weeks were always the best time of my life. Fresh air, long evenings, card games with my relatives, laughing until midnight. It felt safe. It felt perfect. Until one summer, when I was around 10 or 12 years old. That was the summer I saw something that still hasn't left my mind, even 13 years later. That night felt completely normal. We were all inside the cabin, sitting around a wooden table playing cards. Everyone was laughing, arguing playfully, just enjoying the moment. Outside, the forest was quiet, too quiet. But at that time, I didn't think much of it. My grandpa had given me a laser pointer earlier that day. You know how kids are. I was obsessed with it. So around midnight, maybe 12 or 1 a.m., I decided to step outside, just for a minute, just to see how far the laser could go into the forest. The air was cold, but calm. The sky was clear, and the full moon lit up everything just enough so I could see the outline of the trees. I stepped onto the grass, just a few feet away from the cabin, and only a few steps away from the tree line. And I remember this clearly. I wasn't scared, not even a little. I was just standing there, pointing the laser into the darkness, watching the red dot disappear between the trees. It was quiet, but peaceful, until suddenly, that feeling hit me. You know that feeling, when something is wrong, but you don't know what. It started small, just a slight discomfort. Then it grew into something heavier, a mix of fear and something else, something worse, the feeling that I wasn't alone anymore. I slowly looked around me, behind me, the cabin, lights on, voices inside, in front of me, the forest, still, silent, empty. At least, that's what I thought. And then, I saw it. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. It was just its body was covered in a long, black hooded cloak, and beneath the hood, long black hair hung down, framing that horrible white face. And the silence, that's what terrified me the most, because something that big, moving that fast through a forest, should make noise. Branches should snap, leaves should rustle, footsteps should echo. But there was nothing. No sound at all. It was like the forest itself was holding its breath, and so was I. For a few seconds, maybe longer. I just stood there, frozen, trying to understand what I was looking at. Or worse, what was looking at me. And then my body finally reacted. I turned and ran as fast as I could, back into the cabin, back into the light, back to where people were. I didn't tell anyone, not that night, not the next day. I didn't even step outside alone again after that. But I knew what I saw, and I knew it wasn't normal. And here's the thing, if you've ever had a moment like this, where something felt off, something you couldn't explain, then you already know. These stories aren't just stories. So before we go further, make sure you subscribe, because the next story might be even closer to reality than you think. Years passed. I grew older. I tried to forget it, tried to convince myself it was just my imagination, a trick of the light, a child's overactive mind. But then I heard something, a story. Someone, somewhere, describing something they saw near a lake. They talked about a pale face, black hair, watching from a distance. And when I heard that, my stomach dropped, because it sounded exactly like what I saw that night. I even tried to draw it once, to get it out of my head. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't capture it properly. Because what I saw wasn't just something you see, it was something you feel, and that feeling never really left. I still don't know what it was. I've never seen it again. And honestly, I don't want to. But sometimes, late at night, when everything is quiet, I can't help but wonder, what if it wasn't just passing by? What if it was watching me the entire time? And the real question is, if you were standing there that night, would you have noticed it? Or would it have noticed you first?